He had no idea that the woman standing behind him at the checkout lane, exhausted, silent, fumbling for her last few dollars, was the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. And he certainly didn't expect that, just moments after he paid. For her groceries, this woman would begin a quiet investigation into who he really was. What started as an ordinary act of kindness became the key that opened a door he didn't even know existed. A door that would change his life and his daughter's forever. Michael Reyes was used to early mornings and late nights. At 33, he was a single father to an 8-year-old girl named Layla, who had the laughter of her mother and the strength of her father. After losing his wife to cancer 3 years earlier, life had become a delicate balancing act between working construction jobs during the day, dishwashing part-time at night, and making sure Leela never felt the weight of their struggles. They lived in a modest apartment on the east side of town. Their fridge was often half full, their shoes often secondhand, but their love was something no hardship could touch. Michael made it a point to walk Leela to school every morning, no matter how tired he was. It wasn't about routine. It was about presence. He wanted her to know, no matter what, Daddy was there. That particular Wednesday afternoon, Michael had $38 left in his bank account. Rent was due in 4 days, and his truck needed oil. But Lila had asked for apples, peanut butter, and her favorite cereal, the kind with the dancing bear on the box, and that meant he had to make a grocery stop. He picked up just enough for the week and headed to the checkout line, weary but calm. Amanda Stone had chosen to visit the local discount grocer unannounced that day. As the CEO of one of the fastest-growing health food chains in the state, she often liked to observe how smaller stores operated, the pricing, the service, the mood of the customers. She wore a faded hoodie and jeans, no makeup, and an old baseball cap. Nobody would recognize her. That was the point. She wasn't looking for a story, just insights. But what she found was something she couldn't have predicted, standing ahead of her in line was a tall, tired man with broad shoulders and worn hands. He held a small basket, bread, apples, peanut butter, and a colorful box of cereal. He looked over the items twice, as if mentally calculating what he could afford to put back. Then he nodded slightly, committing to the purchase. She could see the hesitation in his eyes, the silent math that every struggling parent knows all too well. When Amanda reached into her own bag to grab her wallet, she realized with a sting of irony that she had left it in her car. The cashier had already scanned her items. Embarrassed, she murmured, "I'm so sorry, I think I left my wallet." Before she could finish the sentence, Michael had already stepped forward. "Add it to mine," he said simply. Amanda blinked. "Wait, what? No, you don't have to." Michael gave a tired smile. "It's just a few things. I know what it's like." Amanda didn't know what to say. She had millions in her personal account, ran a business that touched thousands of lives, and sat in boardrooms negotiating mergers, yet here she was, speechless because a man with rough hands and tired eyes had offered to pay for her groceries. She looked down at the items: eggs, some fruit, a box of tea, a loaf of bread. No luxuries. Just basics, essentials, maybe $15 worth. But it wasn't about the money. It was about the humanity. Michael paid with a debit card that looked like it had seen better days. He didn't say another word, just handed her the small bag and gave a soft nod before turning away. Amanda noticed the way he placed the rest of his groceries gently into a reusable bag that had frayed seams. Then he walked out, fading into the gray light of the overcast day. No fanfare, no expectations. Just kindness. Duvere, for a few seconds, stunned. Who was this man? Amanda sat in her car for a while, the grocery bag beside her forgotten. Her heart was unsettled. In her line of work, she dealt with pitches, partnerships, and promises daily, but rarely with raw human goodness. She wanted to know more. Who helped a stranger without hesitation? Who gives without knowing who's watching? So she called Alex, her executive assistant and longtime friend. "I need you to help me find someone," she said. She described Michael's appearance, the store, the rough time window. Alex didn't question her. He was used to Amanda's instincts. "Give me a day," he said. By that evening, Alex had a name, Michael Reyes. Construction worker, single father, part-time dishwasher. No criminal record, no history of debt. Just a man trying to keep his world afloat. Amanda stared at the file. There were no red flags, no hidden agendas. Just a quiet, exhausted father whose life revolved around his daughter. She closed the laptop and whispered to herself, "He deserves more than this." Over the next week, Amanda found herself more distracted than usual. Board meetings felt hollow. Profit projections seemed less pressing. She kept thinking about Michael. Not out of infatuation, but something deeper. She saw in him a quiet integrity. The kind that built real legacies, the kind her own company was trying to emulate through its mission of compassion through wellness. She visited the local park one morning and saw him again. He was with a little girl, maybe 8 or 9, with curly hair and a laugh that rang out like bells. They shared a peanut butter sandwich, sitting on a bench with an old thermos of juice between them. Amanda stayed across the field, watching. Michael pointed to a tree and told a story, the kind where his arms moved big, like the heroes were giants. Lila giggled, swinging her feet as she listened. He wasn't just a good man. He was a good father. And the world had forgotten people like him. Amanda wasn't the type to act impulsively. She built her company from a single cafe to a multi-state wellness empire. Every step had been strategic. But this was personal. She didn't want to offer him charity. She didn't want to insult him with handouts. So she decided to start small. Her company was launching a new initiative focused on hiring and uplifting single parents. She had planned to kick it off with high-profile candidates, influencer campaigns, and PR, but now she wanted Michael to be the first. She arranged a community hiring event under one of their local branches. No banners, no press, just quiet opportunities. She made sure his construction job was tipped off about it through one of her business partners. A quiet push. And when Michael walked through the event doors, resume in hand, Amanda stood behind a partition, her heart pounding. Would he recognize her? Michael walked into the community hiring event with his shoulders slightly hunched and a folded resume tucked under his arm. He wasn't expecting much. These events were usually crowded, and he wasn't the type to sell himself. But something told him to try. Maybe it was Lila's drawing on the fridge that said, "Daddy can do anything." Or maybe it was just the persistent whisper in his heart that he needed to be more. Not just for her, but for himself. The venue wasn't packed, which was a surprise. It was quiet, organized, and every table had friendly faces. A woman with a clipboard smiled and directed him to a panel toward the back. There, a few executives sat at a round table, reviewing applications and taking notes. It didn't look like a corporate circus, more like a discussion circle. Amanda sat quietly in a separate booth, watching. She had disguised herself again, wearing her hoodie and glasses, hair tied back. As Michael approached the table, her heart raced. One of her senior managers, someone she trusted deeply, would do the interview. She didn't want to make him nervous. Not yet. Michael sat down, nodded politely, and handed over his resume. The manager, a kind-faced man named Harold, scanned it and looked up. "Michael Reyes, I see you've been holding down multiple jobs, construction and dishwashing. That's not easy." Michael gave a small shrug. "You do what you have to. My daughter comes first." "And what would you want to do here, if given the chance?" Harold asked. Michael paused. "Honestly, something stable. Something I could grow into. I've worked with my hands all my life, but I'd like to learn more. If there's training, I'll take it. I just need a chance. I can promise hard work. Every day. Harold nodded, impressed. "You'll hear from us soon." Amanda smiled from the shadows. 3 days later, Michael received a call. He had been selected for a position in their logistics and supply department. A solid starting role with benefits, consistent hours, and opportunity for advancement. When he hung up, he didn't speak for a moment. Then he dropped to his knees, pulling Leila into his arms. "We're gonna be okay, baby," he whispered. His first day was quiet. Paperwork, introductions, orientation. He took it all in with humble gratitude. What he didn't know was that Amanda had arranged to meet him for lunch, not as a stranger anymore, but as herself. She waited in the small rooftop cafe at their headquarters, sipping tea, heart pounding. When he walked in, dressed neatly in company gear, he froze. His eyes met hers. He remembered instantly. "You," he said, slowly stepping forward. From the grocery store, Amanda stood. "Hi, Michael," he blinked. "Wait, you are? You the boss here?" "I'm the CEO," she said softly. There was a long silence. He looked around, trying to process it. "Why? Why would you?" "Because you helped me when you didn't have to," she replied. "Because I saw something in you that this company needs more of. Integrity, compassion, real leadership." Michael sat down across from her, still stunned. "You followed me?" "I observed you," Amanda admitted. "Not to invade your life, but because your gesture made me realize something. This company has grown so much, I started to forget who we're really building it for. I needed to be reminded. And you did that, without even knowing." Michael shook his head, overwhelmed. "I'm just trying to keep my daughter safe and happy. That's exactly why you belong here," Amanda said. "And not just in logistics. I want to offer you something else." He raised an eyebrow. "There's a mentorship program I've been developing for employees to grow into leadership roles. You'd be the first candidate, with paid training, flexible hours so you can be with your daughter, and a future here. If you want it." Michael's hands trembled slightly. He wasn't used to good things arriving without struggle. He searched her face. "Why me?" "Because you believed in someone you didn't know," she said gently. "And now I believe in you." Weeks passed. Michael thrived in his new role. He learned quickly, adapted fast, and inspired others around him with his quiet discipline and humility. Amanda checked in occasionally, always casual, always supportive. They developed a bond rooted in mutual respect, not status. He still walked Leila to school, still wore the same watch his wife gave him before she passed. But now there was light in his eyes again. Hope. The company featured him in an internal newsletter, a story of resilience, of fatherhood, of second chances. Employees wrote in, sharing their own struggles, their own admiration. And slowly, Amanda realized something else. Michael hadn't just helped her rediscover her mission. He helped her rediscover herself. One afternoon, they stood on the rooftop again, overlooking the city. The wind played with Amanda's hair. As she handed Michael a small envelope, "What's this?" he asked. "An apartment closer to the office. For you and Leila, fully covered." He shook his head. "Amanda, I can't." "You already did," she interrupted. "You showed me that there's still goodness out there. That we can build a better world, one small act at a time." He looked down at the envelope, then up at her. "Thank you," he whispered. "For what?" She asked. "For seeing me.